Hey Bills fans, the Bills just took the New York Jets and wiped their butt. This video's for you and for the NFTA and for anybody who's interested in how people should get to and from the new Bills Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. On Christmas Eve 2024, the Buffalo News ran a front page story on the Bills working with the NFTA, and in that story they mentioned the possibility of having light rail rapid transit going to the new Bills Stadium. Jim Gordon from Citizens for Regional Transit here. Today we're going to talk about how having light rail rapid transit going to the Bills Stadium could be a real game changer, not just for the Bills, but all of Western New York. There is a lot that needs to be considered. What is the capacity of light rail versus a bus versus cars? What are the costs? What is the daily operation like versus game day operation? What is the proper alignment or route that should be taken? The original 1970s proposal for Buffalo's Metro Rail had two Southtowns branches, an Orchard Park Stadium branch and a Hamburg branch. We're going to focus on the Orchard Park branch. CRT would like to point out that Buffalo is very, very lucky. The right-of-way is already a publicly owned right-of-way. There is no need for eminent domain. We don't have to tear down any buildings. We don't have to go through mountains. It's flat. That makes building Metro Rail in Buffalo compared to other cities a real bargain. There's a reality that motorists and bus riders alike must face. On game days, the speed that you can go is limited by the speed you can park the vehicles. That's going to be 5 to 10 miles an hour whether you're in a bus or a car. The phenomenon of tailgating is a direct result of the waiting that it takes to park cars. Fans transformed a boring wait into a fun event. Hey, and listen, we're not the kind of organization that says everybody should ditch their cars and go on public transit. That's just not realistic. We think about 20,000, maybe a few more, might ride Metro Rail to the Bills games on game days. We think the vast majority of fans will still drive to the stadium. They'll still be having full parking lots in the stadium. Nearby private lots will still be full and still be charging for parking. Having Metro Rail to the stadium is not going to eliminate the need for parking. If we had Metro Rail going to the Southtowns in the football game, fans and motorists who wanted to go to the game could take advantage of 4 large park and ride lots: the LaSalle Station in North Buffalo, the University of Buffalo South Campus, as well as the UB North Campus, and a new park and ride at Aspen, Buffalo. University of Buffalo offers free parking after 3 o'clock weekdays and all weekend long to anyone who wants to ride Metro Rail. A simple 2-track Metro Rail system between the DL&W terminal in Buffalo to the Bills Stadium in Orchard Park can deliver 6,000 passengers an hour. That's more than twice the capacity of a 6-lane superhighway. That assumes that the system is set up properly with dedicated right-of-way where the trains can run from 50 to 60 miles an hour between stops without having to worry about conflicts between any other modes of transportation. Let's consider what it would take to move 20,000 fans to a Buffalo Bills game by bus instead of Metro Rail. Bus capacity is 45 fans per bus. To bring 20,000 fans, you take 20,000 divided by 45. You need 444 buses and 444 bus operators. That's almost double the entire Metro fleet. It would cost more than $500 million to buy 444 buses. When operating, those buses will be subject to congestion and parking speed, so they'll be very slow no matter what you do. To move the same number of people, you only need 24 rail cars. The cost of those rail cars is less than 1/10 the cost of the price of the buses. Consider this: 444 buses will take up quite a few parking spaces, and the 444 operators will be paid to sit around and wait for the game to end and then drive everybody back. We think a much better use for the buses would be to add some runs to the existing bus line so that more people can get to the Metro Rail stations. More cost considerations are that buses need to be replaced every 12 to 15 years. You'll need to replace the buses, all 444 of them, about 3 times over a 40-year lifespan. Compare that to the 40-year life expectancy of each set of rail cars. Each rail car costs about twice as much as a bus, but holds 3 times as many passengers. One bus operator can move 45 passengers to the game, but one rail operator can move 600 passengers with each 4-car train. In other words, you need 13 buses to move the same number of people as a single 4-car train of Metrorail. And a 4-car train is exactly what Metrorail uses for special events like sold-out Sabres games or Bandits games. Comparing the speed of buses, which would be 5 to 10 miles an hour due to congestion and pedestrian traffic, rail has a conflict-free, elevated guideway. The rail trains will run 50 to 60 miles an hour right up to the stadium. There would be minimum loss of parking spaces for rail because all you have is the space required for the piers. The rail guideway is much safer for everyone. Rail cars can circulate. They can drop passengers off and go back and get another load. The buses can't do that. They're stuck at the stadium. Architects and planners are going to have to pay special attention to the design of the Highmark rail station. What do you want for the game day experience? The station has to be capable of taking on 600 passengers per train every 5 minutes. Should there be tailgating? How about rail gating? Should there be coatless boarding? Keep in mind that on non-game days, the regular operation of this station will be a park and ride using the parking lots at Highmark Stadium. Not only would Metrorail be a great new way to get to the game, it would also spur transit-oriented development. Right now, the city of Buffalo is converting the LaSalle station into a multimodal mixed-use housing development. It will have a Metrobus loop turnaround, a pedestrian and bike access, the rails to trails. There's going to be a kiss and ride. There will be a drop-off place for autonomous vehicles sometime in the future so that you can drop yourself off and pick yourself up with your own autonomous vehicle. There'll be a park and ride right next door to Shoshone Park and is also the site of a future Tonawanda turnout for light rail going out to the Tonawandas and perhaps to Niagara Falls. More transit-oriented development at LaSalle Station is the Rails, a brand new 300-unit luxury apartment building. We expect growing ridership and transit-oriented development opportunities as our Metro rail system expands. This year we saw the opening of the new Harbor Station. Next spring we expect to see the new DL&W station open downtown. By 2030, we anticipate that the full system going between Amherst and Buffalo, connecting UB North Campus and South Campus, should be in operation. The NFTA has gone to great lengths to make sure our Metro rail system is modern and up to date. They have completely replaced all the track and all of the catenary, that's the overhead wires, downtown. That was completed just this December. They're in the process of replacing the rest of the underground rail and catenary on the rest of the system. All stations will be modernized and upgraded. This includes improvements to escalators and elevators. The University Station has undergone a major update. Extending Metro rail to the south towns has implications for other major projects in the area. New York State DOT wants to remove the Skyway Bridge. Extending Metro rail will add the capacity of a 6-lane freeway to this transportation corridor. It would save taxpayers over $1 billion on an unneeded shunt from Furman Boulevard to Interstate 190 and a new giant interchange on Interstate 190. It would make perfect sense to join the River Line project with the South Towns NFTA extension because they both use the NFTA's right-of-way for the South Towns Metro Rail extension. The projects should be joined. Both are elevated, they could share the same piers and even share some stations. Because the two projects share construction site, there is a potential for substantial cost savings. CRT has not been invited to participate in the planning process for bus and rail to the new Bills Stadium. Nevertheless, we have some suggestions. For example, we think the NFTA should request cell phone data from the Metropolitan Planning Organization and display it as a map. It can show the origination of all the participants at the Bills game. We would superimpose the current Metro bus and rail system map to help identify how many people are within the Metro system already and where there are spots that fans have no coverage. This way we can determine where we can best provide resources. We have a suggestion for daily service as opposed to game day service. We think the NFTA should request cell phone data from the Metropolitan Planning Organization, again as a map, but this time showing the origination of every person who uses the Skyway Bridge. And then the NFTA should request a traffic study that presumes the existence of Southtown's Metro Rail, and also assuming that the Skyway Bridge would be removed. CRT believes that there is strong reason to suggest that the Southtown's Metro Rail would be a success. If the Skyway Bridge were to close, the 37,000 cars a day that go over the Skyway Bridge, most people will need some other way to get to downtown. We think Metro Rail would be their first choice, and their second choice would be to drive on the thruway and come up into 190 and get to downtown that way. That would give about 20 to 30,000 riders daily on Metro Rail, which would make it a very good, successful run. We hope this video provided a good overview of the advantages of using light rail rapid transit to provide transportation to the new Bills Stadium, as well as for daily service in the Southtowns. If you share our vision, please take a moment to let your state and local government officials know, let the Pagulas know, let the NFTA know. It's up to each person who thinks this is a good idea to let their opinion be known to their elected officials and to the government agencies who serve us. Our politicians, our government officials, and our transportation agency needs to hear from fans and others who support the idea. If we do that, we can get the ball rolling and start the process to make light rail rapid transit to the Bills game a reality.